Mahet Bukhari, with over 130,000 followers, was once a rising star on TikTok, known for her refined taste and stylish fashion sense. However, when her mother, Ansrin Bukhari, confided in her about a forbidden affair, Mahet did everything to protect her. She even went as far as chasing down her mother's ex, who was blackmailing her with explicit photos. This led to a coordinated ambush involving 8 people, targeting a young man half her mother's age. Whatever Mahet had hoped for, things spiraled out of control, far worse than anyone could have imagined. So, who is Mahet Bukhari? Why did Ansrin trust her daughter? And what pushed Mahet to react so fiercely? Leicester is a city full of surprises. Geographically, it sits in the heart of England, close to Nottingham to the north, Birmingham to the west, and London to the south. This prime location offers transport advantages, though Leicester lacks many standout attractions within miles. Yet, the city still has its charm. With a rich multicultural presence, Leicester is a haven for food and entertainment. The population continues to grow, reaching up to 370,000 people. But on one cold February morning in 2022, the city was shaken by an event from the night before. But before we dive into that, let's meet the main character of today's story, Mahet Bukhari. Mahet lived with her family in Stoke-on-Trent, a smaller city about 97 kilometers northwest of Leicester, known for its pottery industry. Born in 1999, Mahet is the daughter of Ansrin. With a striking fashion sense, Mahet quickly gained attention during her school years. However, rather than pursuing a traditional academic path, Mahet made the bold decision to drop out of university to chase her dream of becoming a TikTok star. With a clever or perhaps risky strategy, Mahet built her online persona under the name Maybe Vlogs. Though she didn't win over everyone, her videos still attracted a significant audience. She garnered 120,000 followers on TikTok, 38,000 on Instagram, and 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. By 2021, Mahet began earning a small income through TikTok advertisements. To make her online presence profitable, Mahet posted photos of her outfits on Instagram, created longer vlogs on YouTube, and followed the steps of other TikTokers. Mahet, a rising star, captivated viewers with her solo videos. But things truly took off when her mother, Ansrin, joined her. The number of views skyrocketed from 40,000 to 300,000 just because of Ansrin's appearance. Clearly, this mother-daughter duo had a unique appeal, turning Mahet's channel into a sensation. But behind the glamour, Ansrin's story was very different from her daughter's. Born in Pakistan and having moved to England at a young age, Ansrin's dream of becoming a flight attendant was cut short when her parents forced her to marry Ali Raza instead of going to university. As a housewife caring for her husband and children, Ansrin felt stifled. This was not the life she had envisioned. She secretly entered into a relationship with 21-year-old Saqib Hussain, a young man who had no qualms about dating older women and thoroughly enjoyed Ansrin's company. In 2019, fate brought Ansrin and Saqib together on the AR app. Here, you can connect with millions of people around the world, but you never know who you'll meet next. A random conversation, an exchange of phone numbers, and soon they were speaking every day. But tragedy struck, and no one could have predicted that this relationship would claim not just one, but 2 lives. Saqib's attention made Ansrin feel appreciated, something her marriage to her husband couldn't provide. They met in secret multiple times, from hotels to bars, cafes, and restaurants. However, in 2021, an incident caused a rift in their relationship. Ansrin decided to end things, leaving Saqib heartbroken. Struggling to accept her rejection, he begged Ansrin to reconsider, but she was firm. The affair was over. Unfortunately, Saqib, at just 21, hadn't yet learned how to let go. In a fit of anger, he threatened to reveal their illicit relationship to Ansrin's husband and even expose explicit photos of her online. By late 2021, Ansrin was distraught and confided everything to her daughter, Mahek. The two had always been close, but now, with their TikTok videos together, their bond was even stronger. Disappointingly, instead of turning to the police to handle Saqib's threats and blackmail, Mahek decided to take matters into her own hands, and that involved violence. Determined to protect her mother, Mahek sought help from Rekin Karwand, the local mechanic and friend. Together, they devised a plan to lure Saqib to a private parking lot, offering him £3,000 to keep quiet. This amount was because Saqib claimed he had spent around £3,000 during his relationship with Mahek's mother, and now that things were over, he wanted his money back. He thought Mahek would agree to pay because both she and her mother were public figures, and they wouldn't want their affair exposed on social media. What Saqib didn't know was that Rakan had secretly rallied a group of accomplices to join in this deadly plot. These included Rakan's best friend, Rais Jama, Natasha Akhtar, Amir Jamal, and Sanaf Gula Mustafa. Meanwhile, Saqib agreed to meet with Ansrin and Mahek to collect the money. They planned to meet at Tesco's parking lot in the early hours of February 11, 2022. A complication arose. Saqib didn't know how to drive, so he asked his friend Hashim Ijazuddin to drive him to Leicester and back that night. Hashim, who was completely innocent and unaware of what was going on, agreed to help his friend. Just after midnight, the two of them drove from Bandra toward Leicester. Neither Saqib nor Hashim had any idea they were walking into a deadly trap. A little after 1 a.m., Ansrin, Mahek, and 6 others, all dressed in black with hats to cover their faces, were waiting at the Tesco parking lot as planned. Their plan was to ambush Saqib and Hashim with their 2 cars. CCTV footage showed Saqib and Hashim arriving at the parking lot around 7 a.m. in a Skoda Fazia. Immediately, they sensed something was off, as they noticed 2 cars waiting for them. Feeling suspicious, Saqib and Hashim made the wise decision to leave the area, abandoning the pickup location just 2 minutes later. CCTV footage captured the Seat Leon and Audi TT also leaving the parking lot, chasing after Saqib. At this point, a call between Saqib and Mahek was ongoing. In the next few seconds, the Seat and Hashim's car circled around the roundabout multiple times, with tension rising with each pass. The vehicles sped up, ran red lights, and soon, all 3 cars were recorded driving along Tuneway and the A607 in Leicester. During this time, Saqib made a frantic 999 emergency call to the police. He reported that masked individuals were tailing him and that they were trying to kill him. After a few seconds of silence, Saqib screamed before the call abruptly ended. Tragically, the Skoda Fazia had crashed by that point. Authorities received reports of a burning vehicle near the A46. Firefighters extinguished the flames and discovered 2 bodies inside, later identified as Saqib and Hashim. Investigators concluded that the car had collided with the central reservation and then struck a fallen tree, causing the vehicle to split in 2, with the engine detached. Both men died instantly from the impact, even before the fire started. The police investigation quickly linked the crash to Saqib's 999 emergency call, confirming that it was not an accident. Surveillance footage and tracking data revealed the high-speed chase. Later, CCTV captured footage of the Dane members inspecting the damaged Audi TT before returning to Leicester. Mobile phone data showed communication between all 8 defendants. Natasha Akhtar drove back to Birmingham while the others returned to Stoke-on-Trent. What started as a crash quickly escalated into a murder investigation, prompting the police to intensify their efforts to catch the culprits as quickly as possible. Based on the available evidence, the response was swift. Less than 10 hours after the tragedy, police arrived at the doorstep of Ansrin and Mahek. Body cam footage from the police shows the 2 women lying about their whereabouts during the incident. Mahek claimed they had gone to Nottingham that evening, but her story didn't hold up. Within minutes, she was handcuffed. When investigators seized the Seat Leon and Audi TT, they discovered front-end damage to the Seat Leon, consistent with colliding with the rear of the Skoda Fabia. A wheel wrench was found in the Audi TT's trunk, and a bent metal tool was located in the driver's seat of the Seat Leon. Both were believed to have been brought with the intention of attacking Saqib. During her interrogation, Mahek continued to lie about her whereabouts the night Saqib and Hashim were killed. But when the police played the 999 emergency recording from Saqib, she appeared surprised that they had that information. Instead of confessing, she broke down in tears, claiming that Saqib was a liar who often distorted the truth. She fabricated a story, insisting that Saqib had provoked the situation and the accident was his own doing. Following this shocking story, Ansrin, Mahek, and Natasha were detained. The remaining suspects were arrested one by one over the next 3 months. As you can imagine, there was a wealth of evidence for the prosecution to work with, including over 200 hours of surveillance footage, 40 locations, and more than 300 witness statements. The tragedy became a major news story in the UK, with intense focus on Mahek and her mother due to their involvement in the case. The prosecution took nearly 18 months to build their case, but finally, in April 2023, their trial began, lasting 15 weeks. With overwhelming evidence against them, the defense had little to work with. In addition to the surveillance footage, phone calls, and forensic evidence, messages recovered from Ansrin and Mahek's phones revealed that on Friday, August 4th, 2023, Mahek had told her mother about plans to exact revenge on Saqib. After an agonizing 18-month wait, the families of Saqib and Hashim were ready to hear the fate of those responsible for their sons' deaths. That very day, reporters witnessed Mahek smiling and waving to them from the balcony of Leicester Crown Court. However, that smug grin would soon disappear. The jury took just 28 hours to deliberate before reaching a verdict, and unfortunately for Mahek, it was not in her favor. The jury found Mahek and Ansrin guilty of murder. Responding to the verdict, Detective Inspector Mark Paris, the senior officer leading the case, described it as a brutal and cold-blooded attack that ultimately took the lives of 2 young men. After luring Saqib and Hashim, Mahek and her accomplices pursued them at high speeds, eventually forcing their car off the road.
Amina was shot twice. Amina was shot twice, while Sarah was shot 9 times. As for their father, Yasser Said, he vanished without a trace. The story of Amina and Sarah's deaths spread throughout the local area and across the U.S. Not only did these 2 young girls meet a tragic end, but the prime suspect, their own biological father, was now on the run. Although many speculated this to be an honor killing, authorities had yet to confirm anything. However, more and more people began to believe it after the family's private life started leaking to the public. No religion condones honor killings. However, there are extreme cases where people commit murder under this pretext to try and justify their actions. This seemed to be the motive behind Yasser's heinous crime. He believed he was driven to the point of killing his daughters, to restore his family's honor. But in reality, he was nothing more than a cruel and horrible father. After the murder of her daughters and the disappearance of her husband, Patricia, instead of grieving, instead of grieving for Sarah and Amina, did everything she could to sever Yasser's connection to the crime. As time passed, emotions ran high, and both families and those around them seemed divided. Patricia and Yasser's family were convinced of his innocence, while others remained firm in their belief that he was guilty. Amina and Sarah were buried in an